Keanu Reeves is known as one of Hollywood's most private and humble stars. After years of choosing silence over spotlight, few believed he would ever open his heart again. But one quiet night changed everything. Without drama, without headlines, a simple conversation made Keanu realize this woman was unlike anyone he had ever met. This is the true story of the night Keanu Reeves realized Alexandra Grant was different. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Dive into what really happened. It was a quiet night in Los Angeles, the kind of night Keanu Reeves had chosen for most of his life. The city outside was alive, yet his world felt calm and distant. There were no flashing cameras, no red carpets, no noise demanding attention. Inside, the room was simple and peaceful, filled with books, handwritten notes, and thoughts that never truly left him. To the world, Keanu Reeves was a global superstar, an actor admired for his talent, kindness, and humility. But beyond the fame lived a man shaped by experiences that rarely made headlines. Life had taught him difficult lessons early on. Loss had visited him more than once, and each time it left a quiet mark. Those moments didn't make him bitter. They made him careful. Over the years, Keanu learned to choose solitude. Not because he disliked people but because solitude felt safe. In silence, he could think without being judged. In privacy, he could exist without expectations. Fame gave him everything, yet it could never protect the parts of him that felt deeply. He believed love was something rare and fragile, beautiful but temporary. He believed happiness arrived like a visitor, stayed briefly, and then moved on. And most of all, he believed that letting someone too close meant opening doors he had worked hard to keep closed. So he lived simply. Quiet walks, long conversations with himself. Moments of reflection that helped him stay grounded in a world that constantly tried to pull him in different directions. He didn't chase excitement. He valued peace more than applause. That night was no different. As he sat surrounded by unfinished ideas and old memories, Keanu wasn't searching for change. He wasn't hoping for a new chapter. He was simply being comfortable in the silence he had built around his life. And yet, sometimes life doesn't ask for permission. Because on that very night, without warning and without drama, one conversation, one calm presence, was about to gently challenge everything Keanu thought he knew about love, connection, and what it truly meant to feel understood again. Alexandra Grant wasn't loud. She didn't try to impress him. She didn't comment on his fame, nor did she treat him as if he were a Hollywood legend. To the world, Keanu Reeves was larger than life, a global icon known for his talent, humility, and kindness. But Alexandra saw something different. She saw the person behind the public image, the man who had quietly endured so much. She spoke with calmness and thoughtfulness. Her words were gentle, measured, and meaningful. And when she listened, she truly listened, not just to respond but to understand. For someone like Keanu, who had spent decades navigating fame, heartbreak, and loss, genuine attention was rare. Yet that night he found it. Their conversation lasted for hours. And yet, it wasn't about films, awards, or media attention. They spoke about life in its simplest and most profound forms. About art, creativity, pain, healing, and purpose. Alexandra shared her view that creativity could be a source of healing, a way to process emotions and find clarity. She spoke about the beauty of embracing imperfections and the strength in growing older without fear. She didn't lecture or advise. She shared from her own experiences, honestly and humbly. Keanu noticed something unusual. She wasn't trying to fill the silence with noise or laughter. She wasn't attempting to impress him or steer the conversation in a particular direction. Instead, she was comfortable inside the quiet, and she made him feel comfortable there too. For a man who had spent so many years guarding his inner world, this felt both strange and comforting. She didn't ask him to relive painful memories. She didn't pry into moments he preferred to keep private. She simply accepted that some stories are meant to be understood rather than explained. And in that moment, Keanu realized something profound. This wasn't chemistry based on excitement or thrill. This wasn't the rush of instant attraction. This was something deeper, a connection built on understanding, respect, and empathy. A connection that didn't need grand gestures or dramatic expressions to feel real. For the first time in a long while, Keanu felt seen, not as a celebrity, not as a legend, but as a human being. And that simple, quiet recognition changed the way he saw not only Alexandra but also himself and what it meant to connect with someone on a true emotional level. There was a moment, small, almost invisible, that changed everything for Keanu Reeves. It wasn't marked by grand gestures or dramatic words. It wasn't announced with fanfare or noticed by anyone outside the room. And yet, in that quiet instant, he realized something profound. Alexandra Grant was different. As he spoke, something unusual happened. For the first time in years, Keanu didn't feel the need to guard himself. He didn't have to perform or act the part that the world expected of him. He didn't have to hide his sadness behind a polite smile or overwhelming kindness. He could simply be himself. Alexandra looked at him. Not with pity, not with awe, not with the curiosity reserved for a Hollywood icon, but with respect. She saw the man, the real person behind the fame, behind the legend. She acknowledged his presence without judgment, without pressure, without expectation. And in that simple act, Keanu felt something he hadn't felt in a long time. Safety. Throughout his life, Keanu had met countless people. Fans, colleagues, and friends. But very few had created a space where he could truly exist without masks. That night, he understood something he hadn't realized before. Meaningful connection isn't always loud, it isn't always visible, and it doesn't always come in the form of excitement or drama. Sometimes, love doesn't announce itself with fireworks or headlines. Sometimes it arrives quietly. Sometimes it arrives in a calm, patient way, and it stays. For Keanu, the feeling was overwhelming, not in a chaotic or thrilling way, but in a calm, grounding way. He felt peace. Real peace. Not the fleeting excitement of admiration or the tension of expectation, but a steady, quiet peace. And that peace, surprisingly, scared him more than the loneliness he had grown accustomed to. It was a new experience. The realization that someone could understand him fully, accept him as he was, and still want to share life together. That realization wasn't dramatic, but it was transformative. In that moment, Keanu understood that the kind of connection he had been searching for all these years didn't have to be loud or obvious. It only had to be real. And for the first time in a very long time, he allowed himself to believe that maybe, just maybe, this quiet, respectful love could last. As their bond grew, Keanu began to notice something extraordinary. Alexandra Grant was unlike anyone he had ever met. She never tried to change him. She didn't push him into the spotlight or insist that he prove his love publicly. She didn't demand more than he could give or expect him to behave in a way that the world would admire. Instead, she met him exactly where he was, quiet, thoughtful, and cautious of the world around him. Their relationship wasn't defined by drama, headlines, or grand gestures. Together they walked hand in hand, not just physically but emotionally as well. There were no public declarations, no Hollywood games, no expectations beyond what they were willing to give each day. For Keanu, who had spent much of his life navigating the pressures of fame and the losses of the past, this felt entirely new. He had always believed that love required sacrifice, that giving everything was part of the price for being with someone. But with Alexandra, love felt different. Balanced, respectful, mutual. She understood his need for solitude and moments of quiet reflection, and he respected her independence, her creativity, and her space. They weren't trying to complete each other or fill emptiness in one another's lives. They were simply supporting each other, encouraging growth, and sharing life in a way that felt natural and healthy. This balance slowly began to break down the walls Keanu had built over decades. Not because anyone forced him to open up, but because he wanted to. It wasn't about performance or approval. It was about trust and comfort. For the first time in years, he allowed himself to experience love without masks, without fear of judgment, without the pressure to be perfect. With Alexandra, love was quiet but powerful. It was about understanding, acceptance, and companionship. It was about two people choosing each other every day, not for appearances, not for recognition, but simply because they wanted to be together. And in that choice, Keanu discovered something he had long forgotten: the simple, profound joy of being fully himself with someone who truly sees him. That night, the night Keanu Reeves realized that Alexandra Grant was different, didn't end with fireworks, dramatic declarations, or public displays. There were no flashing cameras, no headlines, no applause. Instead, it ended with something far more subtle, far more powerful: hope. Hope that love didn't always have to hurt. Hope that a true connection could exist without the constant shadow of pain or past heartbreak controlling it. Hope that companionship didn't mean giving up who you are or losing yourself in the process. Hope that even after life had taken so much, there were still moments of quiet beauty and unexpected joy waiting to be discovered. Keanu didn't suddenly change overnight. He didn't become a new person, nor did he erase the experiences that had shaped him. What changed was something quieter, something deeper. He became open again. Open to trust, open to connection, open to the possibility that love could exist in a way that was steady, safe, and genuine. And perhaps that is the most important lesson this story has to offer. Love doesn't erase your past. It doesn't dismiss your struggles or pretend they didn't happen. Instead, it respects them. It acknowledges your experiences and walks alongside you as you continue to grow. Love doesn't always fix everything. It simply supports, accepts, and encourages. Alexandra didn't heal Keanu. She didn't try to save him or rewrite his story. Instead, she chose to walk beside him as he healed himself, allowing him the space to process, reflect, and grow. That kind of patience, understanding, and quiet companionship is rare, but it is often what makes a connection last. Sometimes, love doesn't need grand gestures, dramatic moments, or constant excitement. Sometimes it is found in the quiet, steady presence of someone who truly understands and accepts you. And sometimes that quiet kind of love, patient, respectful, and deeply human, is exactly what lasts. That night, Keanu realized that love could be both gentle and powerful. Alexandra's presence didn't change him. It reminded him of what he had always needed: a safe, understanding, and genuine companion. And in that realization, he discovered a quiet kind of forever, one built not on spectacle, but on trust, respect, and shared humanity.